Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند. چنین مردی باشید. به ما در مسیر رسیدن به قلب مردانگی بپیوندید و خود برترتان را درون خود بیابید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان، ایروان ارمنستان 9 تا 11 آگوست مصادف با 18 تا 20 مرداد، تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ.
I believe the question was, how do you regain someone's trust once you've lost it? And how do you learn, the other side of that would be, how do you learn to trust somebody once you have lost your trust for them? I can't speak about trust and love without relating it back to your subconscious mind versus your conscious mind. There's a part of us that is below the surface that we call subconscious, or underneath your consciousness, and it's about 100 times bigger than your conscious mind, no matter how conscious you become. The conscious mind thinks it's in charge, but the subconscious mind is what is actually driving and motivating. It is the power behind who you are as a human being. And that power, whether it be a negative or a positive influence on your life. How many people can say, I really like who I am? I respect myself. I'm somebody I would like to meet. I'm somebody that I'm proud of. You know, my parents would be proud of who I've become. And my children are proud of me. You know, my friends are proud to know me. How many of us can actually say that for ourselves? And if you are one of those people that can, then thank you and congratulate you, because my experience is most people have some sort of inner battle going on with themselves. So what do we mean when I say inner battle? Well, that's what we're talking about. A conflict going on between the conscious mind, which is apparently in charge of what's going on in life, making the decisions, calling the shots, and the subconscious mind, which is either gladly supporting that and wholeheartedly fulfilling that, or has some kind of conflict or mutiny going on between the self and the self, between the larger self and the smaller self. Many people have the illusion that their conscious mind, their little small ego, is actually the totality of who they are, and that, I promise you, is an illusion. The totality of who you are cannot be measured. It cannot be summed up in words or in images, and it is invisible. In fact, about the only thing that's visible about you is your physicality, this vehicle that we're riding in, that we're using temporarily, that we've borrowed from the earth. And if we were to open you up, you know, cut you open and take you, you know, look inside, we wouldn't find any love, we wouldn't find any spiritual awareness, we wouldn't find any consciousness, we wouldn't find any feelings, we wouldn't find anything in there. It's just meat. Okay? So don't make the mistake of who you think you are being the totality of who you are. And so when it comes to talking about trust, when it comes to speaking of trust, you have to ask the question, who is trusting? Who's doing the trusting? You know, who is doing the trusting, right? I hear people say, well, I love him, but I don't trust him. Or I love her, but I don't trust her. There couldn't be a bigger lie. You see, trust is the foundation of love. Trust has to do with trusting not another, because people are untrustworthy. I've never met a human being that wasn't untrustworthy, at least sometimes. Okay? As long as you're a human being, as long as you have a physical body, there's going to be a part of you that is at work at all times, unconsciously, whether you're aware of it or not, and you're not, because you're not aware of what's making your heart beat. You're not aware of what makes you hungry. You're not aware of what makes you sleepy. You're not aware of where your sexual desires come from. Those are all unconscious or below the programming. They're programming that is below the level of the surface of your conscious mind, and it's good that it's that way. In other words, you don't know how your computer works, and yet you use it every day. You don't know how your car works, yet you drive it every day. You don't know how your television works, and you're watching it. So you don't know how your mind works, and yet you use it every day. You don't know how your body works, and yet you live in it every day. You don't know how your feelings work, or where they come from even, and yet you have them every day. Sometimes they have you. There's a difference between having feelings and feelings having you. Sometimes people are captive of their feelings, and so the feelings actually have them. They're like no longer in control because the feelings are in control. And that's when we say somebody's like extremely depressed, or somebody's in a state of rage. You know, when anger grabs hold of you and then you're not anymore it's not that you have anger, anger has you. Same thing with sadness, depression, any number of things, okay? But in the question of trust, bringing it back to that conversation, if you say, I don't trust them, then you got to ask yourself, who's the I that's saying that? Who is the unconscious motivation that is actually driving that statement? Because I understand that there is a set of motivations that is designed to have you stay alive. There's a set of motivations that's designed to protect you or whatever you think that you are. People don't know what they are and are completely unaware of all the totality of what they are. And listen, I don't say that in any disrespectful or demeaning way. It's just that if you were to actually become enlightened and discover who the totality of what you are, who you are, and where you come from, and what's really ultimately driving you, then the question of trust would not even be there. It would not. It's no longer a question. The question of believing something or not believing something would no longer be a question. The question of loving or not loving something would no longer be a question. You would simply know that you are unharmable. You would simply know that human beings, driven by the motivation to survive, are untrustable, meaning they don't always do what they say they're going to do. Sometimes they say something and they mean well, but they actually can't actually deliver on that. Or something else comes along and their survival gets threatened, or who they think they are, their identity, their false small identity, will get threatened in some way. And so because they believe that they're this small part of themselves, then they will unconsciously be motivated to protect that and do whatever's best for that. And they may be willing to sacrifice your feelings, your thoughts, your loyalty for the sake of their own well-being in that moment. So human beings, as long as you have one of these physical bodies, you're going to be motivated by survival. And as soon as sexuality gets involved, as soon as finances get involved, as soon as children and family and religion and belonging gets involved in your personal life, and where you're called upon or required in order to get along with another human being to make little sacrifices on a small or large level from day to day in order to just stay in that relationship, to stay in that dance, to be able to stay in relationship with another human being, as long as you're being called upon to make sacrifices and compromises, your survival will be threatened. It will be in a state of anxiety or threatened. Now, that's not actually a bad thing if you embrace it. If you embrace the challenges that come with being in love. If you want to have love flow through your life, if you want to have the feelings, if you want to have the thoughts and the emotions and the knowledge of what it is to completely be loved and to love other human beings, you are going to feel threatened. Sometimes all of the time. It's going to have an uneasy feeling. because love is more powerful than your mind. It's more powerful than your subconscious mind. And when you allow it to flow through you, it'll do a couple of things. First of all, it'll destroy all of the false ideas and notions that you have about who you are. In other words, your little ego, your little self, will get mashed up and smashed away and dissolved inside of love. And as your greater self gets called forward, all of the little fearful parts of ourselves and all of the fearful parts of the people around us that can sense that something bigger than their lives is going on, they may even become threatened. So change will happen if you allow love and trust and loyalty to flow through your life, and you become somebody who simply loves. Then the question of trust is no longer an issue. You trust because you gave your trust. And it doesn't matter whether the person deserves it or not. It doesn't matter whether they've earned it or not. You give your trust because you trust yourself. You trust yourself. When you trust another, you're saying, really what you're saying is, I trust myself to be able to deal with whatever you can come up with that might hurt me. Trust myself to be strong enough, wise enough, connected with the universe enough, resourceful enough, to be able to deal with whatever's going to come down the road at me in life. So bring it on, whatever you got, because I'm going to love you anyhow. I'm going to love you with all of your ugliness. I'm going to love you with all of your beauty. I'm going to love you with all of your betrayals. Whatever you got, I'm going to love you. And that's what you're really saying when you really trust somebody. And when you withhold your trust, you say, well, I don't know, I don't really know, I love you, but I don't trust you. I'm sorry, we have a word for that. It's called BS, okay? It's not love. It's some kind of little protective measure that you're doing in order to try to get something for yourself, because you don't trust yourself. So you see, if you trusted yourself and you knew yourself, you would realize you don't need anything from anybody. You don't actually need anything from anybody, because everything that you've ever wanted is already within you. And so when it's already within you, then you're free to give it, because there's plenty from wherever that came from. And you don't need to get love from somebody. Love's something that you give. And trust is something that you give. You don't need anybody's trust. You can trust yourself. So if you can trust yourself, you'll easily be able to trust others. And those who are actually out to cause harm, who are malicious, attempting to actually do some harm in the world, you'll see them coming a mile away. You'll see them coming a mile away. And if they're clever enough to get close to you and actually hurt you, it won't hurt who you really are. It'll be a small thing, you know? It'll be like, I don't know, a dog biting an elephant. Might hurt. Elephant won't like it. May get stepped on too. Okay? It's just, it won't hurt. It'll be like a pain that you can deal with, right? Sometimes people will try to hurt you. Mostly, when you just love and you're trying to share your love with the world, people like that tend to go away. People like that tend to disappear from your life. You no longer attract those kinds of malicious people into your life because you're not that kind of a person. And you begin to attract into your life people who are actually committed to a greater life, a greater sense of well-being and love and sharing and trust and loyalty. So this question of trust just goes away by itself. So how do you get somebody to trust you? Trust yourself. Trust yourself and trust them. And just know that you are somebody who is committed to overcoming all of those small, little, weak, illusionary things within yourself in order to manifest something for the greater good of everyone concerned. You become that kind of person, and then people will trust you or they won't. And it won't matter. They'll believe what you have to say or they won't. It won't matter. Not to you. It might matter to them, but it won't matter to you. I hope this has made a difference in your life. It's my greatest pleasure and honor to be in your lives for a moment every week and to share these thoughts and insights. Hopefully, I will see you in one of our seminars or workshops, because that's where we're able to actually deliver something that we can only deliver in that kind of an environment. And if I could give it away for free on TV, then I would, and I attempt to every week on these shows. So advanced neurological repatterning has to do with accessing those negative thoughts and feelings, neutralizing them, and in some cases just completely obliterating or destroying your ability to access those negative feelings so that the negative feelings just simply no longer exist. In their place, in the empty void space that's left in your subconscious mind, if you don't put something positive, then something else will fill in automatically, because as everybody knows, the universe hates a void, is the saying. But wherever there's emptiness, then something gets filled in. And so you want to put in the positive thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you would wish your life would respond to. So, for example, if you have a thought in the back of your mind, whether you say it out loud or not, if you have the thought, I'm a loser, I just can't win, then you may find that in your life there's plenty of evidence for that. Now, what produced that evidence? Your subconscious mind will produce evidence to make itself right. I would say the most powerful motivation that we have is the motivation to find evidence in the outside world, find or produce evidence in the outside world of that which we authentically believe is true. I'll say that again in another way. Whoever you think you are on a deep subconscious level, however you think life is on a deep subconscious level, or however or whoever you think others are on a deep subconscious level, your subconscious mind will filter out any evidence to the contrary and begin to produce evidence that validates your belief. So our strongest drive is to be congruent. Congruent means where the inside and the outside match. Where what is inside is matched up with the outside, we have a sense of relief. When the outside isn't matched up with the inside, we feel anxiety. We feel uneasy. We feel that something's not right. We go around in our life and in our world and in our relationships and in our jobs looking for some way to make it right, some way to justify, some way to clarify this uneasy feeling that what's inside of us doesn't match what's outside of us. So there's a sense of inauthentic relationship with reality. I'm going to call it an inauthentic relationship with reality, because then we find ourselves using words, again, linguistic. We find ourselves using words like it should be this way, it could be this way, it would be this way if. So in other words, we begin to tell ourselves that how it is, how that person is, how your mother is, how your wife is, how your child is, shouldn't be that way, could be some other way, or certain circumstances would change, it would be. So could, should, and would are good indicators of an inauthentic relationship with reality. In other words, instead of checking out what is really true, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every measurable way you can, and authentically accepting things the way they are, people, things, circumstances, we begin to have a relationship with how it could be, and then we give that relationship, this imagined relationship, we give that more power than we give the thing that actually is true. So we begin to have an inauthentic relationship with reality, and there's a sense of uneasiness about that, because the truth is always known. You always know the truth, okay? The truth is not something that is out there and you're going to find it. The truth is inside of you. It always has been. The truth is closer than your skin. So you've always known the truth about things, but yet you have this inauthentic relationship with reality. And when you think of how it could be, how it should be, how it would be if only, in this inauthentic relationship with reality, there's a great deal of anxiety, a great deal of uneasiness, unrest. We find ourselves subconsciously being guided or motivated to manipulate things, or to try to make things be different than how they are, so as to feel comfortable in ourselves, so as to ease the pain of the anxiety and the anxiousness of this inauthenticity that we are actually generating in relationship to reality. You see, reality is just real. That's all. You know, the table is the table, the chair is the chair, the air is the air, and you can sit around all day long and talk about how it could be, or how it should be, or it shouldn't be like that, or it could be better. Those make for interesting observations and conversations. However, there's no power in them. There's no personal power in having a relationship with reality that is inauthentic. Personal power comes from being present in the present moment and accepting reality exactly the way it is. Like, that's how it is. Now, you may like it or not like it. Nobody says you have to like reality. There's things in the world that you won't like, and nobody says you have to. Nobody says that you have to like everything. That's a personal choice. However, can you be with something even if you don't like it, because that's the way it is? In other words, can you be with the things that you love and the things that you hate, the things that you're attracted to and the things that you're repulsed by, without having to pretend that it's some other way, or that it should be another way, or that it could be another way? In other words, just have it be the way it is. In that moment, you can stand in personal power, in your personal power of acceptance of the way it is, and then you actually have some choices about whether that works for you in your life, whether you want to be around that, whether you want to move to another place or another set of circumstances. In other words, now, when you're standing in your authentic relationship to reality, you actually have some choice. You're no longer being driven by manipulative motivations in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of, that are trying to get things to be some other way. Now you actually have some choice to make changes in the world, to make a difference in the world, your life. You're in charge of your world and your life. You're not in charge of the world. You're not in charge of the universe. Maybe you are. As far as I can tell, you're not. There's something else that's in charge of that, and we're a part of it. But we have choice in our personal life about what we will and will not accept, what we will tolerate or not tolerate. I suggest that you tolerate nothing, that you either accept it the way it is and then do something about it if you don't like it, or move away from it so that you no longer have it in your space. Just eliminate it from your life if it's something that you don't want to tolerate. And that goes for people as well. If there are people that you're tolerating because you think you have to, I suggest that you step into your personal power and that you learn to accept them the way they are, and then perhaps, rather than resisting what's already there, you find a way to actually appreciate, especially when it comes to people. Because one thing I know about people is that they're full of love, that they're made of love, that they're spiritually perfect, and that whatever they're expressing right now, good, bad, or ugly, is probably the best expression of their self that they can come up with at this moment. Advanced neurological repatterning has to do with accessing those negative thoughts and feelings, neutralizing them, and in some cases just completely obliterating or destroying your ability to access those negative feelings, so that the negative feelings just simply no longer exist. And in their place, in the empty void space that's left in your subconscious mind, if you don't put something positive, then something else will fill in automatically, because as everybody knows, the universe hates a void, is the saying. But wherever there's emptiness, then something gets filled in. And so you want to put in the positive thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you would wish your life would respond to. So, for example, if you have a thought in the back of your mind, whether you say it out loud or not, if you have the thought, I'm a loser, I just can't win, then you may find that in your life there's plenty of evidence for that. Now, what produced that evidence? Your subconscious mind will produce evidence to make itself right. The most powerful motivation that we have is the motivation to find evidence in the outside world, find or produce evidence in the outside world of that which we authentically believe is true. I'll say that again in another way. Whoever you think you are on a deep subconscious level, however you think life is on a deep subconscious level, or however or whoever you think others are on a deep subconscious level, your subconscious mind will filter out any evidence to the contrary and begin to produce evidence that validates your belief, So our strongest drive is to be congruent. Congruent means where the inside and the outside match. Where what is inside is matched up with the outside, we have a sense of relief. When the outside isn't matched up with the inside, we feel anxiety. We feel uneasy. We feel that something's not right. We go around in our life and in our world and in our relationships and in our jobs looking for some way to make it right, some way to justify, some way to clarify this uneasy feeling that what's inside of us doesn't match what's outside of us. So there's a sense of an inauthentic relationship with reality. I'm going to call it an inauthentic relationship with reality because then we find ourselves using words, again, linguistic. We find ourselves using words like it should be this way, it could be this way, it would be this way if. So in other words, we begin to tell ourselves that how it is, how that person is, how your mother is, how your wife is, how your child is, shouldn't be that way, and that it could be some other way. If certain circumstances would change, it would be. So could, should, and would are good indicators of an inauthentic relationship with reality. In other words, instead of checking out what is really true, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every measurable way you can, and authentically accepting things the way they are, people, things, circumstances, we begin to have a relationship with how it could be, and then we give that relationship, this imagined relationship, we give that more power than we give the thing that actually is true. So we begin to have an inauthentic relationship with reality, and there's a sense of uneasiness about that because the truth is always known. You always know the truth, okay? The truth is not something that is out there and you're going to find it. The truth is inside of you. It always has been. The truth is closer than your skin. You've always known the truth about things, but yet you have this inauthentic relationship with reality. And when you think of how it could be, how it should be, how it would be if only, in this inauthentic relationship with reality, there's a great deal of anxiety, a great deal of uneasiness, unrest. We find ourselves subconsciously being guided or motivated to manipulate things or to try to make things be different than how they are so as to feel comfortable in ourselves, so as to ease the pain of the anxiety and the anxiousness of this inauthenticity that we are actually generating in relationship to reality. You see, reality is just real. That's all. You know, the table is the table, the chair is the chair, the air is the air, and you can sit around all day long and talk about how it could be or how it should be or it shouldn't be like that or it could be better, and those make for interesting observations and conversations. However, there's no power in them. There's no personal power in having a relationship with reality that is inauthentic. Personal power comes from being present in the present moment and accepting reality exactly the way it is. Like, that's how it is. Now, you may like it or not like it. Nobody says you have to like reality. There's things in the world that you won't like, and nobody says you have to. Nobody says that you have to like everything. That's a personal choice. However, can you be with something even if you don't like it because that's the way it is? In other words, can you be with the things that you love and the things that you hate, the things that you're attracted to and the things that you're repulsed by, without having to pretend that it's some other way or that it should be another way or that it could be another way? In other words, just have it be the way it is. In that moment, you can stand in personal power, in your personal power of acceptance of the way it is, and then you actually have some choices about whether that works for you in your life, whether you want to be around that, whether you want to move to another place or another set of circumstances. In other words, now, when you're standing in your authentic relationship to reality, you actually have some choice. You're no longer being driven by manipulative motivations in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of, that are trying to get things to be some other way. Now you actually have some choice to make changes in the world, to make a difference in the world, your life. You're in charge of your world and your life. You're not in charge of the world. You're not in charge of the universe. Maybe you are. as far as I can tell, you're not. There's something else that's in charge of that, and we're a part of it. But we have choice in our personal life about what we will and will not accept, what we will tolerate or not tolerate. I suggest that you tolerate nothing, that you either accept it the way it is and then do something about it if you don't like it, or move away from it so that you no longer have it in your space. Just eliminate it from your life if it's something that you don't want to tolerate. And that goes for people as well. If there are people that you're tolerating because you think you have to, then I suggest that you step into your personal power and that you learn to accept them the way they are, and then perhaps, rather than resisting what's already there, you find a way to actually appreciate, especially when it comes to people. Because one thing I know about people is that they're full of love, that they're made of love, that they're spiritually perfect, and that whatever they're expressing right now, good, bad, or ugly, is probably the best expression of their self that they can come up with at this moment.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. محیطی مناسب و هیجان انگیز برای رشد و شکوفایی عشق، ازدواج و خانواده خلق کنید. زنی شاد باشید، قلب مردان را بشناسید و آنها را درک کنید. کارگاه آموزشی بانوان، تورنتو 8 تا 10 جون، ایروان 7 تا 9 فوریه مصادف با 18 تا 20 بهمن، همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. لطفاً جهت برخورداری از تخفیف ویژه برای کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در ایروان ارمنستان با دفتر امبرس گرو تماس بگیرید. 310 460 2600.
کانال یوتیوب دکتر آزیتا سایان جایی است که جواب تمامی سوالات خود را در مورد رابطه در سریع‌ترین و آسان‌ترین راه ممکن پیدا خواهید کرد. در صورت تمایل ویدیو را لایک و نظرات خود را در قسمت کامنت وارد کنید. سوالات خود را از طریق شبکه‌های اجتماعی و یا از طریق تماس تلفنی در طول برنامه زنده مطرح کنید و جواب بگیرید. در کانال یوتیوب ما سابسکرایب کنید و از آخرین ویدیوهای جدید و زمان پخش برنامه‌های زنده آگاه شوید. تازه ترین ویدیوهای دکتر آزیتا سایان و کلیپ های مورد علاقه تان از دنیای عشق را تماشا کنید. صفحه رسمی یوتیوب دکتر آزیتا سایان youtube.com/Dr. Azita Sayan.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند. چنین مردی باشید. به ما در مسیر رسیدن به قلب مردانگی بپیوندید و خود برترتان را درون خود بیابید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان، ایروان ارمنستان 9 تا 11 آگوست مصادف با 18 تا 20 مرداد، تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر. لطفاً جهت برخورداری از تخفیف ویژه برای کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در ایروان ارمنستان با دفتر امبرس گرو تماس بگیرید. همین امروز ثبت نام کنید و شاهد تحول زندگیتان باشید. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروث با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید وارد پروفایل خود شده و تنظیمات آن را تغییر دهید. به تمامی رویدادها و محصولات دسترسی داشته باشید. با چند کلیک برای سمینارها و کارگاه‌ها ثبت نام کنید و یا وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروث را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید و به خانواده جهانی امبریس گروث بپیوندید.
Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Hi,
How are you?
sorry. So I have a boyfriend, and we've been together for about 8 months, and I've also known him from before. We actually dated twice in the past. From the initiation of the relationship, I mentioned to him very clearly that I want to get married, and this is the reason we are going to have a relationship. Recently, he's been a little bit doubtful, and we had another serious conversation about a month ago, and he's like, I don't know if I want to ever get married. I want to be with someone for a lifetime, but I don't know if I do actually want to get married or a piece of paper. So I feel like he's still on the fence.
Okay, so he's not qualified. You told him straight up, I'm dating for marriage. He agreed to that, and now he's reneging on that deal saying, oh, I don't know. The words you said are correct, are accurate. He said, I don't know if I want to be with someone for the rest of my life. Did he say someone or did he say you?
That I want to be with someone for the rest of my life.
When someone is a disconnected word, it's a disassociation. He didn't say, I don't know if I want to be with you for the rest of my life. He said, someone, some unknown one. That's a disassociation. Do you understand? So he stepped back from being related to you and addressed it as if he was relating to any old one that came along called someone. So he disassociated from you and started speaking to you as if it wasn't you anymore, like you're another one. You understand?
Yeah.
So he put a verbal barrier. He said, I don't know if I want to be married to someone for the rest of my life. That means he's not qualified to be married. A person who is qualified to be married is not only looking for someone, they're looking for a specific person. They're dating you, they're interviewing you, they're checking you out to see if you are that one. Do you understand?
Right.
So they've already narrowed it down from everybody to this one, or maybe 2 or 3. It's possible a guy could have 2 or 3 different persons that he's interested in. That's, you could have 2 or 3 guys you're interested in.
Yes, but he's very interested, like we're dating exclusively right now. And
yeah, but he's not dating for marriage and you are.
I am, but I think he's very confused. He doesn't know if he wants to or not.
How old is he?
He has asked me to give him some time.
Give him a lot of time. Give him as much time as you want. Say you have as much time as you want. In the meantime, I'm interested in being married. I would like to be married to you, but if you're not sure about it, then you should take all the time you want. I'm going to go ahead and continue dating for marriage. And if I'm available, when you've come to your conclusion as to whether or not you want to marry me, if I'm available, give me a call. But in the meantime, there's not going to be any more calling, texting, staying up all night, sex, kissing, hugging, holding hands. There's not going to be any of that anymore. That's reserved for the guy that I might marry. That's not you. You said you don't know. So when you figure it out, give me a call. If I'm still available, we'll talk about it. You want to pull yourself back and let him see what that feels like, first of all, and deal with that you're not just somebody that will sell out your value. You said from the beginning, I'm dating for marriage. Now, if you keep dating, even though he said, I don't think so, then you've sold out. You've sold out for security. You've sold out for whatever. You've now told him, oh, that thing I said about wanting to be married? That's okay. I'll date you anyhow. Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Don't do that.
Thank you so much. That's
okay?
a very good answer. Right?
All right, thanks. Bye.
Have a good day.
How do men become ready, or how do men get ready to be married? I don't know if there's anything that prepares you for marriage, because no matter how much you prepare for marriage, it doesn't turn out exactly like that anyhow. So I think the best way to get ready for marriage is just to get married. Men get ready when they're done with their polygamous activity. Men are naturally polygamous, meaning multiple partners. that's just inborn into a man's nature genetically. They feel this need or this compulsion, and if they get married before they have found this part of themselves or expressed them part of themselves, then unless they are already an extremely disciplined person, there will be a tendency to keep looking about at other women and to maybe have a yearning to go outside the marriage to complete that thing. So I don't think men should be married before they've outgrown or at least expressed thoroughly this tendency to want to sleep around. That's how men get ready for marriage, is they become successful at multiple relationships. And once they sort of are satisfied about that part of themselves and they feel confident about that, then they naturally will become ready to find a woman that they would like to share their life with. And they'll start looking for that woman. They'll start interviewing candidates, whether they realize that's what they're doing or not. They will be looking for a woman to share their life with. There's another thing that men need to do before they get married, and that is that they need to be successful. Not just successful with women, but successful in their life so that they have a sufficient amount of resources, whether it's money or property or the potential to make money, but they have to have a sufficient amount of resources to not only be satisfied for themselves, but to generously share that with their wife and whatever children they may have. He needs to have established himself as far as his reputation and as far as his career or job is concerned, so that he feels quite sure that he can support another person. Now, in this day and age, women are perfectly capable of not only supporting themselves, but very often they make more money than men do. While that may be against the natural, by natural I mean inborn genetic pulsion, if you will, or tendency for men to provide and protect women and children. Men have a natural tendency to want to provide and protect women and children, provide for and to protect. I believe that women have a natural tendency to want to feel taken care of, either financially or emotionally, but she needs to feel that the man would devote his time and money and energy to their relationship and take care of her. She needs to feel that he's not going to drop her and go do something else or someone else. That is an important emotional component of a woman feeling loved, is that she feels taken care of. So if a man is not ready to take care of a woman, then no matter what he says, he's not ready. He's not a candidate for marriage. How does he get ready? He becomes successful both in his, nomadic and polygamous urge to conquer new territory by, going with different women, and by satisfying himself that he has more than enough money and time and energy for himself and to share with others, meaning his wife and children and family and whatever else that she might bring along, like in-laws or anything else that she might come up with that he would also feel responsible to take care of. When a man is going on a date with a woman for a long-term committed relationship, for the first couple of dates, what should he be talking about? Should he be asking questions or giving information about himself? How to manage a conversation as a man on a date? I don't think men should necessarily manage the conversation. I think they should cooperate and that they should be forthright and forthcoming. I believe the purpose of dating in the first place is to investigate and sharpen and develop the social skills necessary to be in communication with, manage one's self inside of a larger conversation with the opposite sex. So I realize that's a long sentence. Dating is about sharpening your social skills. It's about learning to talk. If you have a tendency to be clumsy or awkward in that situation, it's about learning to step up and embrace that awkwardness. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, I feel awfully awkward. I don't quite know how to talk to you sometimes, but I really care about you. And I want you to like me. I like you. Let's talk. What's interesting? Sometimes you just have to address the thing that's actually stopping you. It's just simply being authentic and real about the things that could be stopping you. I think when people go on a date for the first time, they're so interested in trying to be cool, to try to look like they've got it all together, like they don't need anything, like, you know, this is no big deal to me. But in fact, they're very nervous about it and they feel strange about it or awkward or upset or any number of things. So should a man be asking questions or giving information about himself? Both. And you may find that sometimes men don't ask questions, maybe because he feels awkward. Maybe a woman doesn't ask questions. I think you ought to ask as many questions as you want without being what we call an interrogator. Nobody wants to feel like they're being interviewed or interrogated to see if they qualify for the next date. That's like rude. Nobody wants to feel that. And so, no, you shouldn't ask so many questions that it puts the person on defense. You know, finding out what they like, what they are like, observing how they walk, talk, sit, eat, treat the waiter or the waitress or the valet or anybody else that may be serving you. How do people treat those people? You know, those are the things. I say more importantly, especially when it comes to men speak through their actions. Listen more to what they are doing than to what they're saying. You know, they might say whatever they need to say to sort of try to get close to you or to score or to make it with you in some way, or to be successful in some way. But watch what they do. Watch how they act. Watch how they behave. That's going to tell you a lot more because there are just certain ways that people be that you can't disguise the true nature of them. How can you say that a woman is ready for marriage? A woman is ready for marriage when she is mature enough to learn that it is by honoring herself and loving herself more than she loves any man. And by loving herself, I don't mean it in that self-involved, egotistical, self-absorbed kind of way. I mean it in a way in which she will not sell out her values. She will not sell out her virtue. She will, you know what I mean by sell out? In other words, take the highest price. In other words, she will not move on those things that she considers to be her values and her virtue and her morality and her ethics. She will not compromise on that. She will only open her heart and her body to a man who is wise enough and strong enough to take her deeper into the existence and the meaning of life than she could possibly go on her own. When you will only open your heart to a man of that nature, then and only then can that man appear. That man cannot appear as long as you are opening your heart to people who are not qualified for marriage in the first place. He can't find you because you're busy being available to lesser men. Okay, so a woman gets ready for marriage by deciding for herself that she is only going to open her heart and sleep with men who are a man who is going to be her partner for life. And then she makes up her mind that that's what she's going to do. And then she finds that guy will show up. He can show up only then. Is love something that we need to learn about, or is it just there naturally? Both are true. Yes, love is already there naturally, just as a fish does not know water and a bird does not know the air. Human beings do not know that they are swimming in an ocean of love at all times. Love is always there in every interaction at all the time. It's closer to you than your own shirt. It's closer to you than your skin. It's always been there. It's always available. Prejudice is always there too. We see people as us and them, and love is always there. And we need to learn about it? Yeah, we do need to learn about it. There's different kinds of love. There is parental love. There is the love of a parent towards a child, which is a superior to an inferior. And it is a parental love that is non-sexual. The first level of love that we begin to know and experience is this unconditional love. Now, this is interesting because as a child, that is our first experience of love and its connectedness, and it has warmth, and it has softness, and it has love and protection. The child sort of grows up expecting that now. I just showed up and they all love me and take care of me and feed me and stuff, clean up my mess and put up with me. Part of growing up is to realize, no, there's a time in life in which love is not always unconditional. So there's parental love, and then there's what we call filial love, the love of our peers. In other words, it's more the people that are on the same level as us, like friends, brothers and sisters,
co-workers. So we're talking about, again, a platonic or non-sexual love amongst equals. Then you get to another level that we call erotic love, which is love that has romantic feelings. That love changes everything. It's no longer safe, you see, because you've opened yourself physically. You've had an intimate connection. You could feel threatened now. As a woman or as a man, you could feel somehow so vulnerable, so connected, and so needing that it uncovers a whole nother level of yours that is on a deep physiological, psychological, emotional, and spiritual level that those non-sexual loves did not have. This is where everybody gets in trouble, right? Because we don't know how to deal with that. So yes, the answer to this question is you need to learn about love. You need to learn what works and doesn't work. Now, I'll speak only briefly about another kind of love which most of us will never experience, but we pretend that we do. And that is agape love. Agape love, universal or unconditional love, where it is a love of humanity for humanity's sake, for the sake of all mankind, for the sake of what it is to be human. It is a love that surpasses all that is wanting and needing and sexual and sensual, and encompasses all of that and embraces it. We come to see ourselves as part of all of it and to embrace all of humanity as an expression of ourselves. In other words, we come to know ourselves in every human being that we meet. We begin to see that we're like them, good or bad, beautiful or horrible. We're like all of them. And we embrace that. And we love it for what it is. That is a level of loving that takes a certain awakening and transformation that most people, frankly, will never have. Most people will live their entire life experiencing those other kinds of love, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But I want to go back to the erotic love, the love of another that involves sensuality, sexuality, and childbirth, and sharing of resources and protection and longevity into the future, that creates a future for not only yourself, but for your family, for your tribe, for the community, and for the world at large. Without long-term committed relationships that involve sexuality and childbirth, there is no future for humanity. Without an orderly progression of those relationships into a long-term future that involves both self-sacrifice but also self-fulfillment, that involves discipline and rigor on the one hand, and complete freedom and full self-expression on the other. It involves sexuality, but it also involves spirituality. And so people can actually learn to love on a level that surpasses just the physical, attraction and the hormonal impulse to have sex with somebody or to merge with somebody emotionally so that, you say we are one together and all of that romantic stuff, which is fine. It's pointing in a direction that is greater than you and your needs and your wants and desires. It's pointing in a direction in which there is a fulfillment, I will say, that touches the heart of all humanity. With just as within each apple seed, there is an entire apple tree with the leaves and the branches and the roots and the apples. Contained in that seed is the potential of all future apples, or an infinite amount of future apples, if you will. So contained in each human being, there is the potential to awaken all of humanity and to touch the lives of everyone. Just like that apple seed will never know what will become of its future, you or I have no idea of all the lives we could possibly touch today and every day. By living your life to its fullest possible potential, you have the potential of touching tens of thousands and millions of lives throughout history for time immemorial, for time to come. If you have a vision that's big enough to change the world, you will naturally encounter obstacles, and some of those obstacles may even come in the form of the people who say they love you, dressed as the perfect man or the perfect woman who wants you for themselves, wants you for their future, wants you for their self-expression. So the question is very simple, but the answer is very deep. Is there something that we need to learn about love? Is it just there naturally? Yes. Is there such a thing that men and women should have the same level of energy to be able to connect and start a relationship? I don't know. The same level of energy is a pretty open to interpretation question. My wife and I have very different levels of energy. Anybody that knows my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan, knows that she's very high energy. She's always going and going. It's almost a joke amongst all of us at Embrace Growth and that know her through the seminars and the workshops. She can go and go and go and go and go and go. And then a little bit of sleep, a little bit of food, and then she's back up. Everybody else is still tired from the last time, but she just somehow finds herself being able to go, 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 go. What probably nobody but me knows is that when she finally does get tired, she shuts down completely, which is actually a very efficient energy system. If I were a mechanic and she was a robot, I know I'm talking about my wife. I didn't mean to diminish that in any way at all, but I mean, if you wanted to engineer someone that would go 100% all the time and then shut down, recharge themselves, and then go 100% all the time and then shut down and recharge themselves, that would be a pretty good design. So I have a great deal of appreciation for her. My energy is different. I have a very sort of deeper kind of quiet energy that is replenished on an ongoing basis. So I have developed a way through martial arts and Qigong and meditation to be replenishing myself as I'm using the energy. I'm also resting and recharging at the same time I'm using my energy, and then if I need to go 100%, I can turn on all batteries and move forward and have a great deal of energy, and then I rest like everybody else, probably for shorter periods of time. I'm more interested in the longevity, in other words, lasting, having my energy last a long period of time instead of being able to do full force at spurts. In spurts and then stop, full force and then stop. That's just my level of energy. And so in answer to this question, is it important for people to have the same level of energy or something like that in order to be able to connect? No. I think what's more important is that you know yourself, and that you know your own energetic needs. Yeah, do you need to be able to rise to meet someone's energy, like